Hello viewer, welcome to today's episode of Health Talk Show. We have been going through a lot, speaking about mental health, creating awareness on how we can deal with ourselves and others. Today we are having another beautiful topic. We are going to discuss about pastoral counseling and mental health. And in the house we have beautiful guests who are going to take us through the show. My name is Lucy Wanzakariuki and I am your host. We are going to speak about what mental health entails and how it relates with pastoral counseling. A pastor is somebody who stands as a clergy in the spiritual realm here on earth. But they face a lot of things. And that is why we are going to speak about it today. And first of all, I am going to invite our guests so that they can kindly introduce themselves. I am going to start with the lady.
All right. How are you? I hope you're well. My name is Irene Bulakitheka, and I'm happy to be here this day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Irene, and welcome to the show.
My name's Reverend Daniel Kemoy Kipsoi. I'm a senior pastor at Christ Sanctuary Church, Mulolongo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you.
We are honored to have you for the first time, and we are looking forward to having you for many shows. Irene, kindly let us know who is a pastoral counselor and how does it differ from a normal counselor?
Okay. Thank you very much, Lucy. When we talk about pastoral counseling, this is where you have a person who is actually ordained as a pastor or as a clergy, who is also a certified counselor, who is able to take people through the counseling process. But this time, this particular person is using the techniques, the skills, the knowledge that will be coming from a biblical or a pastoral knowledge.
Yes.
So the difference between a pastoral counselor and these other counselors is that a pastoral counselor will concentrate and give ideas, point to solutions that are most likely biblical oriented, while these other counselors will be able to give you directions or solutions that are out there.
Yes.
So here, when the difference basically between the pastoral and this other counselor is basically where they are getting their weight of the information that they're giving you as the person who's coming for counseling.
Okay, thank you so much, Irene. So if I may ask you, there are different types of counselors.
Yes.
But generally you go to school and have a baseline, but from there you specialize into different areas. Are there other areas of counseling?
Oh yes, counseling is actually a very big, a broad area of a profession.
Yes.
Because what happens is that if you choose to handle, for example, what we are discussing today, pastoral counseling, that means there is an element of you, first of all, being a pastor, or a person of the clergy. So you're already trained as a pastor, trained as a clergy, and then you add on to the skills of being a counselor. But you'll also find that when it comes to counseling, there are other things. For example, if you want to specialize in marriage counseling, you want to do adolescent counseling, you want child counseling, you want career counseling.
Yes.
Okay. We also have drug and substance abuse counseling. So we have a whole spectrum of different counselors that we can get.
Okay.
So at this particular time, it's just that the pastoral one is where you're being very specific that a lot of your knowledge, your skills and experiences are being drawn from your religious perspective.
Yeah, that is very wonderful and very informative for our viewers so that they can be able to know that wherever they are faced by different challenges, they can always find people to stand in their place. Thank you so much for that. Pastor Daniel,
Yes.
what are some of the roles that you can play as a pastoral counselor?
Number one, I can say as a pastoral counselor, number one, it is your role, first of all, to understand that the people that you are actually counseling,
Yes.
number one, they are having their utterance in the Word of God. And your role as a pastor is actually to integrate it is your role actually to integrate that knowledge of the counseling and the Word of God through faith and also the and also then what I may call spiritualism. When now you are able to integrate now the two, now it is now your point, or rather it is now your position to be able now to counsel this person to the point whereby he can be able to get healing, maybe from his personal marriage, or maybe whatever need that this person may have come maybe to seek for help.
Yes.
Yeah.
Irene, are there some other roles that a pastoral counselor can play?
I like what the pastor has said.
Yes.
A lot of what the roles of pastoral counseling would do is, when you look at, for example, when you have a situation in the home, you'll find that sometimes when it comes to pastoral counseling, because counseling really is being able to find solutions to the issues that you're having. So you'll find sometimes that this particular pastor would actually come in and be a practical help.
Yes.
For example, if you're having a domestic issue and there is a violence involved, you'll find that if you're a pastor and you're counseling, in as much as we have the usual conversations that God hates divorce and everything like that, but you'll find that the counselor would probably tell one of the spouses, you can even come and live in my house briefly, as we sort out the issue. So that those are some of the things other than just a conversation.
Yes.
Because sometimes we just look at counseling as conversation and talking. But there's that bit where they become practical. If, for example, you come and you're having issues, because it's not really sometimes marital issues. Maybe a child has run away from school. The pastoral counselor would be able to help and maybe mobilize people, like let's assist this child go back to school. Let us have a fundraising. So counseling is not so much of conversation, but there's also the practical element where they come in physically and help out in that particular situation that you're going through. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. For pastor in the area of roles,
Yes.
during your counseling,
Right.
they bring issues from all corners of the world.
Yeah.
And they feel that you have the solution.
Yeah.
Apart from just counseling, as Irina said, practical part of it,
Right.
do you go outside now to go and meet the needs?
Actually, the role of a pastoral counselor,
Yes.
it is mostly to inform and maybe even to guide. And actually what happened in a situation, because also your role, you are not the final.
Yes.
You are just but maybe a link. There are actually sometimes whereby you are faced with the people that have a lot of issues, which actually sometimes they are more than your ability. It is your responsibility now as a pastor to be able to weigh and to see how you can be able to help.
Yes.
It could be maybe in terms of maybe unaweza amua kufanya something like a referral. You can maybe decide even to give some very professional advice whereby you can. But there is this kind of a notion that every time I go to the pastor is the final, and everything just ends with the pastor. But that is not true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, Irene. Now there comes the next question.
Okay.
As you've heard from pastor's point of view, are there some of the ethical dilemmas that face our pastors?
Yes, I love that question, because I'll tell you from a citizen's point of view, from a Christian point of view, from a church person who goes to a church and a congregation, one of the biggest ethical issues we have with pastoral counseling is confidentiality.
Yes.
And that is, and any counselor knows, when you're studying counseling, confidentiality stops. So what happens is that the pastor now needs to be able to weigh, are there certain things that you can break the confidentiality? Or, unfortunately, there are times when we have some who are really not ethical, and you get to a point where the pastor your issue becomes the sermon next Sunday.
Yes.
And you're sitting down and you're wondering, ay, bana pasi, this was between you and I.
Yeah.
Then we also have ethical issues where we have what we call a dual relationship, where if you go and you're a beautiful lady and you're having a challenge with your husband, for example, and this pastor starts, eyeing you because he's a man of God, but before he's a man of God, he's a man.
Yes.
So the man bit looks at you and, starts looking at you differently. So you find a situation where will the pastor basically still maintain his professionalism and not start moving forward from being just your pastor counselor
Yes.
to your friend? You know, and then you see now that ends up being you're my friend, and then again, you know, you're still counseling me, because that is where you also have sometimes, not all pastors, and I must be very clear on that, where pastors start having relationships with the people that they're counseling. And this is not just the male pastors, even the female pastors, because right now there's all these feelings that come in, because when you're speaking to a pastor, basically you're speaking to them and you're opening yourself to them.
Yes.
You know, and we also have some of the ethical issues where someone is not competent, and they just think that because I am a good orator, I am going to start telling people come for counseling. And you're not giving them the proper professional guidance or
Yes.
the proper professional ways of getting things done. So you find when someone is not competent, when it comes to ethical issues, you're actually giving your opinion and not the professional way of handling
Yes.
things, because counseling is a professional it is a professional thing. So it's not something that you just decide because I can talk to people, because I am a pastor, I can talk. So I look at some of those ethical issues that are there, and also when do I disclose some of this information? Because, for example, if someone comes to you as a pastor and you're thinking, I want to, for example, commit suicide. Okay, so what
Yes.
happens is that how do I handle this situation? Maybe you're a young person, you know, do I, as a pastor, do I tell the parents? Do I handle it on my own, you know? So I'm looking at that element where, when do I break this confidentiality? How much more can I hold on before I bring it out to the public? So I think those are some of the things you'd look at in terms of
Yes.
the ethical issues for that. And I'm also
Yes.
thinking, do I charge this person or do I not charge? Because I mean, who said pastors ni watu wa bure? You know, do I charge? Is it part of my job? Because many of us counselors who are out there who are not pastoral, we are making money. And because it's a job. But then as a pastor, you're thinking, you're always coming here, I'm spending so much time. Do I charge? Do I not charge? How do I handle your situation? So I'm just thinking, those are some of the ethical issues. And how do I charge? Can you come and give me a chicken and tell me, because I love you so much, I can give you a chicken
Yes.
as part of my payment? So do we agree on some of these things? So I'm just thinking of some of the things on ethical matters
Yes.
and counseling.
Pastor Daniel.
Yes.
Those are some of the ethical
Yes,
issues
yes.
that Irene has mentioned. I'm sure there are many.
Yes.
How do you, I know each ethical issue
Yeah.
comes with an ethical dilemma.
Right.
A dilemma is that point you're torn in between, what do I do?
Yeah.
But again, you have to do something.
Yeah.
How do you handle it? And what are some of these ethical dilemmas that as a pastor, yes, she has talked one of them.
Yeah.
Do I pay or do I not pay?
Right.
Yeah, what are some of the others? Because I'm sure there are pastors there who are listening to you
Yeah.
and they are really looking for a solution.
I think I can say that it is also very much important to understand when you're coming in as a pastor, and bear also in mind you're also a counselor.
Yes.
It is also good. It is also good to be guided by the principles.
Yes.
And when you talk about the principles, there comes a times whereby you have a client, or maybe he's the church member, and he comes, and in one way or another, he sees you as an authority. And being an authority, it is very easy for you to even manipulate. It is very easy for you even to make a choice for him.
Yes.
And actually, one thing that we do maybe as a pastor, it is first of all to ascertain, what is my role as a pastor now? Where are my limits? From where now do I start? And maybe from where now it is not my role.
Yes.
So actually, what happened as a pastor now, when night comes that way, and maybe you realize the extent whereby the client is coming, or maybe the member is coming, it is beyond the normal things of maybe the church issues. It is normal beyond maybe the things of the spirit. Then it is your responsibility maybe to see whether you can refer or maybe you can advise otherwise. But you really don't have to really fix yourself fully, even when you know that you can cause harm in the course of wanting to help
Yes.
a member or maybe a client who has come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Irene, we've seen communication, and the other thing is relationship. You know, as a relationship is one of the critical things that we cannot avoid here. because of the topic of the day. A pastor is a clergy. He has said it here very strongly that he stands as a spiritual authority. There are powers that he carries. But again, here we have people who have known him as a pastor. So when they are coming to him, they are coming as pastor. But now what the pastor is supposed to give is not now the pastoral duty, but a counseling duty. How can the pastor handle the two without mixing the roles of a pastor and of a counselor?
Okay.
Yes.
That's very interesting, because one of the things I know about counseling
Yes.
is that there are basic principles of counseling as counseling.
Yes.
So like he said, rightfully said, the pastoral training, all these other pastoral things come in to complement what he's doing or what a pastor is doing. So what is critical is, and I allude to what he said, is that when you're dealing with a client, because these are, we call them clients, when you're dealing with a client, you need to be able to have a very good idea of their background. You need to have a background, where they come from, what is their religious affiliation. You're even looking at what is their birth order, where do they live, you know, what is their environment. Because when you have that background knowledge, you'll be able to communicate at their level. Because sometimes when you don't know a person's background, or you don't know what the person is handling, who he is at the moment, then you'd be able to just throw in things, and you're throwing Bible verses, and you're probably speaking to someone who's not even a Christian.
Yes.
Or even if the person is not is a Christian, is not a practicing Christian. So even as a pastor, one of the things they need, you need to be able to understand is, even as you're speaking to this person, you need to be very clear, because there are people who even come to see for pastoral counseling, but they are definitely not practicing Christians.
Yes.
But they just want to know that, I know you're a certified counselor, so I just want to get direction from you with regards to my life. So for me, one of the critical things is that when you're communicating to your client, you need to have some form of background information. Then you'll be able to address that person according to who they have brought themselves to you, so that you also do not have assumptions. Just because you think I am black or I'm wearing a cross, you think I am a Christian, and then you throw for me Bible verses, and I'm looking at you like, you
I
know,
wish you
exactly knew. Or worse, it is the same religious environment that caused this problem that I have. So when you start throwing at me the biblical issues or any other religious stuff at me in the sake of comforting me, and yet it is the same environment that created the scenario we are dealing, then it does not help, because counseling is helping. It's really a helping profession. So you need to be able to know, who is this person? How is this person, how has this person got themselves to this place? Then that is where now you come in, and then you can move forward with the client.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Pastor, if I may ask, what are some of the things that you, as a pastor from Mulolongo, are faced in terms of ethical dilemmas you turn in between? And maybe at some point, you may suspend the counseling and go to seek help.
There are some cases, for example, as a pastor, there are some cases that comes, and when you assess the case, maybe it is more of a psychiatric case. It is not spiritual. There are some cases whereby maybe you find maybe you're having a family talk, and when you're having a family talk, you then maybe you're having a family talk, and then you come to realize that maybe the issue that you're handling, maybe it is in terms of a family, it maybe require a marriage therapist. So in those cases, as a pastor, you just have got to deal with the issues that pertain to you directly, and the issues that you feel maybe they may be helped more when they get a specialist, for example. Then it is where now we are able now to bring other people, because as a pastor, you are not. Because as a pastor, I'm not just supposed to work as alone. There are also some other people that are also professionals. There are also some other lay leaders that are also gifted in some other areas. And maybe there comes a time, maybe it is a family thing, and maybe I have a family therapist in the church. It is my responsibility maybe to identify, because it is a crisis. You see this person, they may be helped more. because they have some issues which maybe they may require to have such kind of a person. That is where now, as pastors now, at times we advise, and now we are able to bring others also to come also and become a help to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Irene, we have seen a lot of challenges facing our pastors. What are some of the things that you can tell the viewer who will wake up and go to the pastor? Like, what are they supposed to expect from the pastors?
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting.
Now, not the pastors, the viewer.
All right. I think one of the things is that it's important to admit that you have a problem, because that is the beginning of solving your problem.
Yes.
So you're very clear. You're like, you know what? I actually need help. So when you're going to a pastor for pastoral counseling, I think one of the things is that you need to be able to be sure who you're going to. It's very important, because we've seen cases where you've gone and like we said a little earlier, confidentially is broken, and you really kind of have a bad feeling about going for a pastor. So first of all, have a research, find out what kind of a pastor this is. It's important, because it's my life I'm going to discuss with this person, so I need to be very clear what kind of a pastor this is. And then the other thing is that you need to know that when you're going for pastoral counseling, the pastor is not going to give you the answers.
Yes.
They will not give you the answers. They will give you direction. They will expose what could be a problem for you. Then they'll be able to help you piece up the pieces, fix up the pieces that are missing. Yeah, so that you don't go there, like he said, like the pastor said, that I am going there and the pastor will show me, he'll be the alpha and omega of my problems. No. And when you're going for also counseling, know that you will actually have work to do.
Yes.
You have work to do, because it's not the pastor's problem. It is your problem. So you need to know, when I'm going to the pastor, he or she may be able to tell me to do certain things. They're going to tell you to do certain things. Some things may be difficult. Some things may not be something that you want to do. But because you have taken yourself there, or someone has even referred you there, but you have willingly allowed yourself, this person to come into my life, and I will share. So know there is going to be work done.
Yes,
but most importantly, know that you are the solution to your problems.
Yes.
Regardless whether you're a Christian or whatever religion that you're in, you have the solution. So the pastor is only coming to try and, remove out those things that do not make sense for you, and then you'll be able to get your life back together.
Yes.
I think it's very, very important to do that. And even as you're going, you also need to remember to be very, very professional, because we have seen people who are going for pastors, to see pastors, and they have an ulterior motive. The good thing is a professional and a very, very wise pastor would be able to pick that up.
Not.
So when the pastor tells you, I cannot handle your case, there are times when they may not be able to tell you expressly, wewe uko na maneno ingine, we cannot handle you. But when a pastor says they cannot handle your case, accept that.
Yes.
Because I like what he said. Everybody has their niche. So if my niche is on child counseling and you have a challenge with your children, then I'll handle. But if it's a marriage counseling and I'm a child counselor, even within the pastoral team, I cannot handle that. I'll refer you to somebody else, and I love what you said about that.